The Secrets of TV is brought to you by the StarQuest Production Network and is made possible by our many generous patrons. If you'd like to support the podcast, please visit GiveStarQuest.com. You're listening to The Secrets of Television. Hi, I'm Dom Bettinelli, and on The Secrets of Television, we take a closer look at the stories behind the stories, exploring the themes, characters, and hidden meanings in the shows everyone's watching and the classics worth remembering. And this time we're discussing Silo Season 3, Our Dark Web. I don't want to say that weird. A Dark Web. I said it strange. Anyway, joining me today are Jeff Haecker. Hey, Jeff.
Hey, Dom.
And Alix Murray. Hey, Alex.
Hey, Dom. How are you doing?
Very good. Folks, be sure to follow The Secrets of Television in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, TuneIn, your favorite podcast app, or at the StarQuest YouTube channel at youtube.com/StarQuestMedia, where you should always like, comment, subscribe, and click the bell for notifications. Before we get started, we kind of record this in advance of when you're getting it, but we just saw the news out of Comic-Con that Silo Season 4 has been greenlit, and it will be the final season.
Well, it was already greenlit. They renewed 3 and 4 together. So,
okay.
But they announced the date of next summer, so we're not going to have to wait like 2 years in between seasons.
Yeah, that's good. I'm glad we're not.
I think they filmed them back to back, basically.
Yeah, excellent. Good.
We're going to be busy.
Yes. Well, oof. Yeah.
Well, hopefully in a year there's no massive anything happening to us like that does in Silo. So
yes, right. Yes. Hopefully there won't be like life imitates art.
Yeah.
All right, let me give you a recap what happens in this one. Juliet has decided she's done complying and stops taking her prescribed vitamins. She convinces Jerry, the sheriff's deputy, to let her roam the silo alone in her search for answers. So she starts knocking on doors, pressing people with hard questions. Her greatest obstacle becomes her own absent memory. She learns she has been secretly dosed with a drug designed to erase memories, and she resists the medication while trying to piece together fragments of her past. Her main goal is finding Lucas Kyle, a man who everyone else presumes is dead or just at least missing. And Lucas may hold answers about the secrets the silo is hiding. The barrels of vitamin D+, surprise, surprise, turn out to be a memory erasing drug meant for the water supply. And the episode will close with the discovery of Orla Kent's body, which deepens suspicion inside the silo. Meanwhile, back 300 years previously, the Congressman Daniel Keene and the reporter Helen, which I have no idea what her last name is, are on a search for answers about what really happened to his pilot sister Charlie. They go to a guy who has recorded the plane conversations off the dark web, hence the title of the episode, and then disappears, a la X-Files. So that's what happens in this episode. General thoughts on this one, Alex? What did you think of this one?
I really liked it. I think it's starting to. I'm not as annoyed with the flashbacks in the past because I'm now interested in what's going on. I can see the links now, and I think because Jules has such a strong character, and you see she's returning to herself, it's made it a much more interesting show.
Right. Jeff, what about you?
Yeah, no, I mean, this is another good one. Like with the other titles, I like that of the episodes, I like that it kind of has multiple meanings. The dark web of the internet dark web, but also like the dark web of what's going on in the silo and in the quote unquote present, past time, whatever you want to call it. We get the reveal that Lucas Kyle is alive and that he is out there doing stuff. So remains to be seen what his role will be. And I did look up the Helen's last name, and I don't know if this was just a coincidence or if they did it intentionally, but her last name is Drew, so like Nancy Drew type of name, solving mysteries,
those crimes.
Yeah, I like that they deepen the mystery in the the Washington DC timeline where Daniel's kind of getting invested in trying to find out what's going on and listening to the recording of his sister and yeah. So I did really like the episode. I think it was a good continuation.
Yeah, I think we're finally getting back to the Jules I remember from before. Like she's starting to wake up in a sense and become more herself. And in fact, we get characters who actually say this. Like, what was it? The head of mechanical
Knox
tells her.
Knox,
yeah. Right. I wanted to say rocks, but that sounded really wrong. Knox, miners, all that sort of thing. Knox, like, basically tells her, like, Jules, like, memory or not, you are who you are. Like, you are utterly unique. And that's sort of this idea. It's like she's this person who just defies, convention, defies the predictability. The algorithm just can't predict her. On the Helen, Drew, I wish they had they'd cast an older actress, because I feel like it would make the contrast more interesting. That if she was more of a throwback reporter, like a classic, she pounds the pavement and she's working at this awful TMZ, like, BuzzFeed sort of place. It's totally out of place for her. Like, they're trying to make her like feel out of place. It would feel more out of place if she were like a older millennial or Gen Xer even, just I don't know. I was just thinking that before. Like,
kind of like the reporter in Daredevil, the one who, I can't remember his name now. He was a great character.
Ben.
I think so. Yeah. His wife was in a nursing home, and he was somebody like him. That would have been an amazing character.
Right. And so you would have had this classic, old style reporter getting to and it would highlight, how journalism has changed, and reporters at newspapers aren't what they were. I don't know. I feel like they were going for something with this character that they didn't quite reach, because they cast a perfectly fine actress. I mean, don't get me wrong, she's doing okay, but that's just a small nit on my part.
Yeah.
So let's dive in. So we start with Juliet wanting to walk the silo alone without Jerry hovering over her. And we don't get very far with that before we switch back to Keen in the present. Well, let's just call it the present.
Okay.
Won't worry about that. But he's at a memorial for one of the other pilots from her sister's flight who died. And he approaches his father. I really liked the memorial. It was kind of interesting. It was it's a sort of a wake at maybe like a VA hall or something. It has that feel. It's very blue collar. And he approaches him. This guy is also a vet who tells him what he knows, which is, I found out from a guy I know back in the service. They swapped out the radios with these old radios, which meant anyone could record their communications, and did. And so that meant these communications are out there. This is what sets him off on this next part of his journey. But the interesting thing here was the captain of the Nimitz aircraft carrier arrives. That's the guy in uniform, accompanied by that old civilian guy who was watching Charlie at the memory clinic. Now, you guys didn't remember, I think, last time when we discussed this, but I wonder if seeing him in this one jogged your memory at all. No pun intended.
It did. Yeah, because like you said to pay attention to him, so he did.
And then he shows up when Charlie gets fired from her job. He's there, and I think we're to presume he was behind the firing. So
he's like ominously hovering in the background.
He's like the cigarette smoking man. I was like all these X-File references.
Yeah, totally.
And I was thinking, who is this guy, and who founded the silos? Who built them? When were they built? Are they already built in this time period? Is this guy part of whoever's planning them? It's very interesting to think about. So it's out there in my mind.
Mm.
So we go from that back to Jules, and she goes to confront Billings's wife, the sheriff's wife. And straight up accuses her of being an outsider. And she at first denies it, but then kind of eventually just acknowledges it. Like, okay, yeah, I know these guys, and you'll never find them. And it says something about Kennedy, because they're talking about where's Kennedy. He knows places no one else does. And that made me think about the last episode when the Raiders tried to catch them in in that room where they were meeting with Jules, and they found the secret passage behind the wall. I'm like, is it in the tunnels? Is that what we're talking about? Are these mining tunnels, which apparently go everywhere now? Are these a secret place beyond the knowledge of whoever's running the silo?
Well, we know there are secret places, way at the bottom. And remember, was it in the first season where they had discovered like these giant digging machines
in the void?
Yeah.
The digger void. Yeah.
Yeah. So, the algorithm could have been digging tunnels at some point and then decided to stop and then have people discover them or people finding the machinery, they have no idea what happened because there have been 2 resets.
Right. So were these tunnels dug before one of the other resets?
Yeah. Exactly.
That's an interesting idea. And then they just get rediscovered.
Yeah, over and over again. And then maybe they dig a little further and then you get a reset. I don't know.
What do you think about Billings's wife as being an outsider and being the wife of the sheriff, like one of the top, and he knows, like, he's in danger because of that. They call it, and I like they call themselves outsiders, and you're going, you don't really want to go outside. Don't go outside.
Yeah, because that's what they want to do. They want to go outside.
Yeah.
They believe outside is perfect.
Right.
Yeah, it kind of makes sense that she is, because if I'm remembering, he has that disease or whatever, like that gives you the shakes, and which if you have that, you're not supposed to have kids, like, because you don't want to pass it on. But they had a kid, so now her kid's in danger if the kid gets that disease, or Paul's in danger if somebody else finds out and decides to. Now that was in the old system. They may not,
rewriting the pact. Maybe.
He's rewriting the pact.
They may
That'd
not
be the first thing I'd change.
Right. But I think there's still the sense of danger. Cause they don't know, like Camille's has kind of taken over from, there's kind of 2 legacies of the silo. One is kind of the legacy of Bernard, passing through Sims and Camille. And then there's the legacy of, like, I forget the mayor's name before, but her into Jules is kind of the second. So there's kind of two competing ideas or foundations for what the silo could be that are competing and going. And Camille thinks she's running Juliet, but also is learning that Juliet's, spitting up the pills, but she kind of lets it happen. So it's like, I know that I know that you know that I know, kind of a thing.
Right.
So yeah. I kind of see it as the sheriff's wife is like, she's worried about her child. If Camille's ultimately takes over, and we know Camille's trying to reset the silo right now, or is at least kind of like planning that if
she's trying to avoid a reset.
Right. But she's planning that as a contingency. By like hauling up the things and like saying like, I don't want to do it, but I'll do it, kind of a thing. So,
because the alternative would be safeguard, which is the purge of the whole, basically killing off the silo.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It is the algorithm calls her on that, by the way, on her foot dragging on basically killing Juliet. Like, be honest, you had the opportunity to kill her last season when she'd had the gun on her. It didn't. Why didn't you? And at first she tries to, tell a lie, and it's like, I'm the AI. I can tell by your cortisol levels that you're lying. And so she comes clean, like, because I admire her.
Yeah.
She's looking for the truth, and I admire that, which makes Camille more interesting, I think.
Can I just say something about Camille? I found a really interesting. I don't like her. Who would like her? But
she's the bad
guy. She is. What I thought was really insightful, and I love it when somebody like points out something about to get an insight in another kind of personality, and you're like, yeah, that totally makes sense. So when the algorithm asks her, do you know why you were chosen to head IT? And she gives herself, because I'm a problem solver, I'm this, I'm that, kind of building herself up. And it kind of cuts her off and it says, no, because you lie. And you played both sides. And I just thought, and have you ever, I think, unfortunately, we've all dealt with people like this, whether it's on kind of a personal level or more on a cultural stage, where you have people and you can see how despicable and horrible they are, but they don't see themselves like that. And
nobody sees themselves as the villain. Yeah.
No, of course not. But also they see themselves as being put in this position because of their capabilities. And the possibility of them being put in those positions is because they have a vicious nature, as in they have lots of vices. And I just thought that was, it was kind of like suddenly everything. I'm like, oh my gosh, there are people like that. Who are just really, they're, because of their vicious nature, they are able to be manipulated by somebody who wants to have a lot of control. And so I think that was well written for that character. In a way, it made her it made me a little sympathetic for her, not in a way like, oh, I understand why you're gassing all these hundreds of people, but more like there's a vulnerability there. She doesn't know herself. This algorithm knows herself better than she knows herself.
Gosh, that's a theme in this show, isn't it? Like this whole idea of knowing yourself. Juliet doesn't know herself anymore. Like everybody is trying to figure out who they are. I think even Keen, in a way, it's, who is he? He's a congressman. He's a brother. He's a truth seeker, but who is he really in the end of things? So I agree. I think that's really fascinating. And on the other thing, I think there are people who see their vices as virtues as well. There are people who, oh yeah, I can lie and manipulate, but that makes me strong. Like they see that as strength. Camille is the kind who is self-deceptive. She doesn't acknowledge her the way she is.
Yeah, she doesn't know herself, and she doesn't know that she's capable of committing atrocities.
Right. And it basically slaps her in the face with it at the end with, it says, you have showed an ability to do whatever was necessary despite any moral qualms.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I'd want anyone to ever say that about me. Yeah. I'm pretty sure I wouldn't want anybody to say that about me.
Like that would be terrible. That would be a terrible thing, but she doesn't see it that way. Yeah. So she's a dangerous person.
She's very utilitarian, as is the AI. And this is, when you dig a little deeper, this is the essential problem with AI, isn't it? Right? The problem of they do not have morality. They cannot have morality. They have programmed algorithms by which they make decisions. And so letting an AI have any type of decision-making authority over people is inherently evil. It's bad. It's bad for people. And we see it play out. This is the morality play we're getting in this show. We also see why the head of IT, I always thought it was weird. Why is the head of IT up there with the mayor and the sheriff, like in the judge? Like, why head of IT for a place that's demonstrably pretty low tech in general? And then now it's because the head of IT is the one who can go into the server room where the AI is. The head of IT knows what's really going on. So it's like, oh, okay. The sysadmins.
Another thing about the algorithm, when he was talking to, when it was having this conversation with Camille, in a way, it was threatening her, as if its own survival was threatened. Like, you're going to threaten me? I'm the one with power. And I thought that was really interesting, because I keep thinking, has something happened with this algorithm that it's lost its initial purpose to keep people, to allow people to live and survive?
Well,
but now its purpose is to be it's self-perpetuating.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we've seen that it killed off however many silos that went against the pact or whatever they were supposed to do. So I think it's still fulfilling its function of wanting to keep the silos alive, but within certain parameters. And I think the issue is that the parameters it has are like not very broad. Like if you go in the red line, if you red line outside of these parameters, then we're purging or whatever I forget what they call it, but so I think it seems like it's still fulfilling its function, but we don't know exactly. Yeah, we don't know overall like what is its end goal, like right. And well, I can say I know at least from the book, but I won't say, but but yeah, within its current parameters, it seems like a silo has to be between these two lines, and if it goes, if it strays outside of that, it's gonna, kind of reminds me of like the show Loki, like the Marvel show Loki, where if you stray off the path, your timeline's getting your branch is getting cut and your silo is going away. Yeah. So
it is interesting because I think we kind of make assumptions about what the purpose of the silos is. We kind of assume their purpose is to safeguard humanity, to continue humanity until such time as they can emerge from the silos into a renewed world. But is it? Like, I mean, because if your purpose was to preserve humanity, you wouldn't purge the silos, but you wouldn't kill everyone in them. So what's really the purpose of all this? And that's, I think that's the future reveals that we're going to need to find out, because what's the purpose is the big question. Is it just an experiment? Is it something else? Is the whole world really dead, or is it just whatever is right outside the silos? And there's all kinds of interesting questions that are raised that I want to make sure I'm not making assumptions as we go through this.
Yeah, like this is to their benefit of the human beings living in the silo.
Right. Maybe there's something deeper, no pun intended, going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say that there's something deeper going on. I don't think that's a major spoiler that there's levels and layers to all of this that haven't been uncovered yet.
Literally and metaphorically.
Yeah.
Right. So we get more information on the status of the silo. So many people died in the rebellion that the bodies were 3 deep on the lowest level, which is kind of wild. And incinerators had to run 24/7. But we find that there are 9,913 people left. And I guess they capped the silo at 10,000. So over 800 died in the rebellion, which is a lot I always go back to my small town has a population of 11,000. So I kind of compare it to the silo. And I'm like, if 800 people in my town died, that would be a significant blow to the community. And especially it's because it's a closed community. All those people had functions.
That's what I was wondering. Like, I'm assuming most of the people who died were probably the people in the mines.
Yeah.
So.
Well, no, before this episode.
Sorry. No. I'm talking about in the rebellion. I guess they were the people from the deep
from the
down
lower levels,
mechanical,
from the down.
Yeah.
Always starts mechanical.
Yes, and so if those people were the ones who died, how are those jobs replaced? Are they retraining people? And then also the other thing that really I find interesting is there doesn't seem to be a resentment in the silo because of the rebellion.
Right.
So is there something in the water that keeps people from, because Knox was he was one of the people who led the rebellion, and he has maintained his position.
Because he won.
Yeah, because the rebellion won.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, that's a good point.
But what about the people who lost? I mean, there were people on both sides. That doesn't seem to be resentment from them.
That's what I'm saying. Like, how is it that this rebellion doesn't have repercussions?
Yeah, I think it's partly Camille's kind of controlling that faction through being the head of IT. Like she's kind of all of Bernard's faction, for lack of a better word, has kind of, I think, fallen in with Camille and following her orders. So I'm sure there's rogue elements here and there, but I think for the most part they're following.
Well, we know there
Sims
are
and Camille.
because the outsiders are the
but they weren't part of Bernard's group anyway. They were kind of their own their own group, like the more radical rebels anyway.
Sorry. Yeah. I think we can't discount the symbolic value of Jules returning.
Yeah.
The effect that would have had on everyone. Because it was an accepted fact of reality that if you went outside, you died. And for someone to come back just upends all, everything people thought. And maybe, a lot of people would say, oh, maybe everything I thought was wrong. Maybe, and then she becomes this unifying factor, which is kind of what the AI is trying to use her for.
That's the one thing that's keeping her alive.
Right. Until now. So, but at this point, Camille is still trying to avoid using the memory altering drug. It's laboriously making its way up the silo from the depths. We have this ticking clock. And she's like, if we can confirm that Lucas Kyle is dead and capture Kennedy, then we won't have to use the memory erasing drug. And the AI says, you're trying to avoid an unpleasant outcome based on improbabilities. Like the easy way forward here is to take the more reliable path. A loss of memory is better than a safeguard, he says. It says, but then it says, but the choice is yours. Like she has to choose, which I think is interesting. I get that the safeguard decision is the algorithms, but anything short of that is the humans. That's an interesting.
I think it's a way for the AI, and not that it's not conscious, but putting these decisions in her hands, which really they're not, because as I said, the way the algorithm is interacting with her, it's threatening her. It's not really giving her a choice.
Yeah.
But once these choices are made, because the more compromised she is, the more the AI can manipulate her. It's like the devil.
It is kind of a devil figure, isn't it? It's the tempter. It's the, it just seems so reasonable, right? I mean, she's like Eve in the garden, isn't she? It's got the apple. She's in there, and it sounds so reasonable when it tells you that. He doesn't want you to have this knowledge. He's trying to keep it all to himself.
Exactly. And the more she talks, the more she interacts with the algorithm, the more power the algorithm has.
Again, this has very contemporary implications for how people interact with chatbots. They're dangerous if you don't use them right. Like we've seen news stories about people who have harmed themselves because the chatbots, they think of the chatbots as people when they're just machines that are programmed to respond in ways that are favorable to how you think, right? Like it's just reasonable for you to harm yourself. If that's what you really want, then maybe you should do it. Like that's a danger, and that's what we got going on here. It's carrying out a program of some unknown nature, and it's using whatever tools it has to manipulate, and it's really good at it.
Yeah, totally.
And she's making the mistake of treating it like a person.
That's a good point. Yeah.
As if it's reasonable. So from there, I'm not jumping back and forth. Just I'm kind of doing this like we did with Monarch, which is kind of deal with one timeline at a time if we can. So Jules goes to Sims to ask about Lucas, and he freaks out because she saw him at his son's school, and his son still has, PTSD from when she held Camille and him hostage with a gun. And her defense is like, look, I don't remember. Like he remembers me, and he's afraid of me, but I don't even remember. Like like you're holding me responsible for something I don't remember doing. It is an interesting moral position to be put in. Like, how is she supposed to feel about that? If someone said, you don't remember, but you did this awful thing, and you're like, wow, that would be really awful of me to do that. I'm sorry, but I mean, I don't remember doing it, so I can't feel really sorry about it. I'm sorry you feel that way.
Are you morally responsible if you have no memory of doing it?
Mm-hmm.
And here's the thing. This is what makes it tricky. When she made the decision to take Camille and, what was his name? Adam?
Anthony?
The little boy?
Is it Anthony?
Anthony.
Yeah.
Hostage. That was when she was mentis compass or compass mentis, totally aware of what she was doing, not at all manipulated by a drug. Mm-hmm. And now she's manipulated by drugs, and so she doesn't remember. It's really fascinating. Like, so is she morally responsible for her choices?
We are culpable for our choices, but if we don't remember and can't repent because of them, that could be, what's the term? Mitigating circumstances, but this is a theological term.
Yeah.
Where that's up to grace. The Holy Spirit, just to, because there are real world implications when people have memory problems, or there are people who have multiple personality disorder and stuff. Well, that's really kind of that's a whole different thing. You're not culpable for. But there is a reduced culpability to confess something that you don't remember, I think. So it's an interesting thought experiment. But in any case, from that encounter, Robert Sims goes to Camille, takes the son out of school, goes to Camille and says, you know what, let's have a family day. Let's go to the park. We really need to connect as a family. And he talks about building a memory. We need to build memories. And this comes at a time when she's contemplating wiping everyone's memories, including herself.
Yeah.
I mean, think about this idea that she won't remember her husband. She won't remember her son. How does the silo survive if no one remembers anything?
That's what I was wondering. But then Sims knows a bit about this. Yeah. And it's a gradual forgetting, because then you've got all of these skills that people have to have.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's right.
And I don't know does everybody, not everybody drinks water at the same rate. I don't know.
Well, maybe it's one of those things that they it's funny. We just covered this not that long ago in a Stargate episode where everyone loses their memory of who they are, but they still maintain some measure of their skills, and they slowly lose them more. But maybe it's one of those things and I'm not a scientist of any sort, so I don't know if this would work, but maybe it removes your long-term memory of who you are, but lets you still retain your skills. Like someone who worked in mechanical would still know how things in mechanical worked.
Yeah. Right.
And I don't know how I fixed that, but I knew how to fix that.
Yeah. And I assume too that if they've done this before, that there's record keeping of some sort of the processes for fixing a generator or things like that. So
yeah. You have to you remember how to read and stuff like that. But if we go back to Robert Sims, Judge Sims, one of the things in my notes, I wrote that he is becoming increasingly irrelevant in the running of the silo.
Right.
And Camille is not really, she's not including him.
They swap places in many ways.
In many ways. And they actually had a little bit of a confrontation about that. But I think, and I don't know why this is, I don't know if because he sees himself, his power and his status decreasing, and that's why I think he's starting to question the way the silo functions, or if it's this really traumatic thing that happened to his son and his wife. And there was something there. I just feel like he is starting to, again, he's someone, it's an indication that something is cracking in the silo. When you have someone like Judge Sims and then someone like Kat Billings, you know, she was a very docile person. Mm-hmm. And wanted the best. She was happy to comply with things in the silo. And now she's not.
Now she's a rebel.
Yes. I mean, that's like a real, like when you get someone like that pushing back against the system, that means the system is in a very precarious place. And then when you get someone like Judge Sims, who was in a place of one of the highest places of power in the silo, and he's also starting to have doubts about the system, I think that's an indication that Camille is not going to be able to hold this system together.
Right. This is a silo that's in decline. I mean, the algorithm pretty much points out, like, unless Jules is turned into a martyr, the silo is going to decay to a point where it has to be purged.
Yeah. Decay by the definition of the algorithm.
Yes.
Not actually like, oh, we can't get things done and people are killing each other. That's not what it is. It's they're not compliant.
Right. Yeah. I wonder if there's something in the office of judge that, you know, like, now that he was a shadow before, now he's the guy in charge. That sometimes changes the way you see things. You're like, oh yes, but when I'm president, this is how things will go. Then you get in the office, you're like, oh, there's a reason that guy did that way.
Yeah, exactly.
And I wonder if there's some of that going on with him as well. But also he says, like, when Jules says, I don't even remember my father, like, he died for me. He blew himself up to save me. And not only do I not remember him, I don't even remember feeling anything about him. He's like a story in a book, you know, just nothing. And that strikes him, I think, because since he does know about the memory drug and probably knows that it's on the verge of being deployed, he's like, you know, I want to spend time with my family while I can before that's gone. Yeah.
And then Camille is like, I don't have time for that.
Right. Well, then she does the old, well, when you were, you know, in the job and I was staying at home, you didn't come home. And he's trying to say, hey, you know, look, I'm allowed to, change, you know, I've changed my, like, you can't, you know, I acknowledge I was wrong, but that doesn't mean that you get to be wrong too. So
yeah, exactly. Like, two wrongs don't make a right.
Right. So I thought it was interesting. He does know what the vitamin D plus is. It's funny that it's vitamin D because, of course, you'd have to have vitamin D supplements because no one sees the sun. Like, we get vitamin D from the sun on our skin. So Camille figures out that Kyle is in the mines, and she thinks he's in the mines to dig his way to another silo, something that the AI didn't know. But says it kind of freaks out a little bit. If that's true, that would trigger an immediate safeguard. The one inviolate rule is no contact between silos. And so if he manages to dig his way out to another silo, that would probably cause a safeguard in both silos, frankly. And that's what causes her to say, okay, we need to gas the mines to kill rats. I love the chief raider goes, is that a euphemism for something?
Yeah. I also put that poisoning the mines was evil. There's no other way to describe what she did. That decision was evil.
Right. She didn't want to evacuate anyone because that would give him Kyle a chance to escape. Nope. She wanted to kill. You know, it's the trolley problem, right? It's do I kill many in order to save the rest because I need to kill one. It is straight up evil, right?
There's no, I mean, and all of those people, they were the lowest of the low, you know, almost like untouchables, and
mostly criminals.
Yeah. And then how they were locking them in, you know, of course there were enough on the side of the miners that they could actually break through the gate.
Right.
But, you think, oh my gosh, that's just, and then how are you going to who's going to go back down into the mines? I guess they don't have a choice.
Yeah.
I guess they'll just stick them back down there.
But it's Jules runs in to save people, as she does. That's who she is.
Yeah.
I like the scene where she's got the mask and she's like, she finds a guy and she's like, here, we'll share it. And he's like, forget you. Boom. And he runs off with the mask.
Yes. This is where that's a dog eat dog world down there.
Yeah. But I knew she would get rescued by Kyle. I knew he was going to show up when she's like laying on the ground there.
See, that I was like, why? Was he following her? Did he know she was trying to find him? Did anybody know he was there? Right.
I mean, I would assume he has he probably has a network of people who know he's alive, and it could be the outsiders know he's alive and are kind of helping him and kind of keeping him informed of what's going on.
Except at the end there, when they run into him, they seem surprised to see him.
Yeah, he seems surprised to see them.
Well,
I guess, or whatever. Yeah.
I mean, it could have been like a dead drop situation, like that they were leaving. They were leaving intel for him. He would pick it up, and like they never met to preserve security. But then they're like they actually see him in person, and they know something bad happened because of they're actually seeing him versus just leaving a dead drop of intel.
I mean, somebody had to be supplying with food and whatnot.
Yeah. And somebody had to be, like I said, it just seemed a little bit of weak writing to just have, with all those people running, hundreds of people running with poison, all
masks
around them. And then he finds her, of all the people in the dark. Yeah. I was like, okay.
It's a little convenient.
Yeah, that was, so we'll just pretend like
hang a lampshade on it.
Exactly. They might explain how he found her.
Right. That he was looking for her, right. That's possible. They do find one body in the mines, and it's Orla Kent, the shadow and supply that Billings was looking for. And I think the implication is that the head of the mines, we're supposed to think that the head of mines, that kind of creepy guy from the meeting, did it. He kind of threatened her, we saw, after that meeting. But that seems a little obvious. That's a little on the nose. So I'm curious who. They did drop a breadcrumb about her boyfriend, Mark Davidson, who happened to be the boyfriend of the previous Shadow and Supply. He's the son of the head of Supply.
Yeah.
So maybe he was responsible, but that's a whole open question there. There's not much to go on there.
Yeah. I think, I don't know if, Orla Kent, maybe she wasn't who she seemed. Mm-hmm. Maybe she had information, or she discovered something in Supply that she wasn't supposed to, and that's why she was killed.
Yeah, that's what I lean to with because if Camille's needing to do the vitamin D plus thing, maybe Orla knows like, okay, that's not usual, that's not normal. There's something here. She figured something out, or the former head of Supply told her, or something. So I think
because they would have the supply. They would have the vitamin D plus.
So I think it's probable that it's like that the Raiders and Camille are the ones who killed her and dumped her body because she was asking too many questions. But they can blame it on the head of mining, or they can blame it on the boyfriend or whatever. So
right, gonna dump a body. It's in the mines is probably the place you're least likely to be found. That or the digger void.
Yeah,
one of those two.
Or I was gonna say, or if it is in the mine, nobody cares.
Right. Just another miner who got killed.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys heard that. I got emergency alert on my phone, and it gave me a heart attack. I thought we were having a safeguard.
Hopefully no safeguard.
Like, what's going on?
Oh no,
I can't breathe. Oh wait, no, it's fine. It's fine. We're okay.
Yeah.
So I want to go back to the Congressman Keene and Helen. So Helen, I mentioned before, she got fired from her job at BuzzFeed or TMZ or whatever you want to, whatever it was, at the behest of creepy old guy. Man, I have never been like fired from a job where I had to be like dragged out the door, like security. I mean, I've never been fired from a job, but like I've been laid off and things, but I've never like lost my job or seen someone lose their job and like, nope, they grab you by the elbows and lever you out to the elevator. Like,
yeah,
man,
I think it all depends on what you do. You know, there are some places.
I guess.
My husband has stories of, you know, up in Scotland. Hey, sometimes you got it's just maybe
you get the old heave ho.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But she's undeterred. They go off to hook up with Steve, the dark web hacker, who is appropriately creepy when they show up.
Yeah.
He happens to have a recording of the comms, and there's this whole thing about the agreement was that I could copy the congressman's congressional badge, like clone it, so that you're giving like congressional member of Congress access to just random hacker dude like that.
There was a lot going on in that scene that I was.
That's like 25 years in prison.
He'll just report it lost or missing, and they'll deactivate it. But he'll
exactly.
Because as we see, it does. It doesn't matter because the guy gets presumably killed or taken.
Gone somewhere.
Yeah.
At first he tries to betray them. I thought it was kind of funny. It's like, the deal was that you give me the badge so I could tell you that it exists. Like, dude, I already know it exists.
I know. It's like the lamest. Yeah. What kind of blackmailer are you?
Yeah. Like, and he was like, it's like a stick. The Keene could like break him in half. Come on.
Yeah.
But then like he does let them listen to it. He lets Helen listen to it. It's on a Walkman, which is kind of funny. And then they're like, no, you don't want to listen to it. You shouldn't listen to it. And then he does. We don't hear it, but I presume what he's hearing is just what it sounded like in the cockpit. Like,
I would assume it had to be worse because that wasn't like the worst thing I've ever heard.
Yeah, like picking up where that left off.
Yeah.
Okay.
Whereas I think it's something more than what we heard happened.
Right.
Something else that's even worse.
Yeah, because they say he picked it up from it got recorded to somewhere, was it Malta or somewhere in like Moldova, yeah. And that he was able to grab it before it was taken down, and it's like it's not even safe on the dark web to have this recording. Like that's how serious it is.
He has the ability to go into the dark web. I don't know, maybe an AI?
But
I still think it's the AI.
Yeah.
So, and then Dark Web Steve goes missing when they go back to make him. What were they going back for? They wanted more from him?
They wanted to get the tape.
Yeah.
Oh, right. They were going to make him give them the tape.
Yeah, because he was going to like give it to somebody in the government or something.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's gone. His place roughed up. All right, and that's where we end things in this episode. Any other thoughts on this before we wrap up? Alix, anything?
Yeah, I actually, as I was watching this, I had an epiphany about the theme of the show. And next time, when you watch the next one, like think about this. So the music is very pulsating and slow as it starts off, and it kind of goes through. I mean, I don't always watch the introduction because why? But watch it next time, where it's just this very, very slow, pulsating music, and it becomes more intense, and then at the end, it's like a cascading scale that just starts kind of falling down. And I thought, gosh, that's like memory. You have this low pulse, like deep down, and then it just slowly rises. And then suddenly, this memory comes up to, surfaces. And I think I think the music is actually really good for this show on memory and recovering memory. And it almost isn't, just as I said, the end of it, where you have this very fast paced, light, these high notes descending very quickly. It's almost like it's inevitable. It's inevitable. They're going to recover these things. And that's how the music kind of played that out for me in a way that I hadn't been really paying attention to it before. But I think this focus on the memory is what maybe had that click in my head. I don't know. That's what I thought.
I mean, I really feel like the themes in the show is about memory and who we are and how much memory makes us who we are.
Yeah.
I think that's a big part of it.
Yeah, but the inevitability of the person, the personality, or the memories, even the collective memories, will eventually come through. The algorithm can't stop it, which is very hopeful.
Right. Jeff, do you have any other notes on this one?
No, I don't think so. Yeah, it was a good kind of continuation of the mystery, and look forward to discussing next week's.
All right, so let's wrap things there. Before we go, we want to take a moment to thank our patrons who make it possible for us to create the Secrets of Television, including Maximilian S., James N., Eric B., Tim C., and Declan M. Their generous donations at GiveStarQuest.com make it possible for us to continue the Secrets of Television and all the shows at StarQuest. And you can join them by visiting GiveStarQuest.com. So that's it from us this time. We'd love to know what you thought of this episode of Silo, a dark web. Let us know by commenting on the show at sqpn.com/TV or send an email to tv@sqpn.com. Visit the StarQuest Discord community at sqpn.com/Discord. And until next time, Alix Murray, thank you for joining me and sharing the Secrets of Television.
Thank you, Dom.
And Jeff Haecker, thank you as well.
Thanks, Dom.
And once again, I'm Dom Bettinelli. Thank you for listening to the Secrets of Television on StarQuest. Here's another show on the StarQuest network you're sure to enjoy, The Catholics of Oz. Find it wherever fine podcasts are found or at sqpn.com/Oz.